Welcome back to Squelch, the video game book club. I'm Dano.
I'm Matt at Arms.
And I'm Stormrage. And we're here to remind you that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game, and games are supposed to be fun.
There's no riddle in there, so it doesn't count.
He doesn't always speak in riddles. Sometimes he just speaks like kindly to people.
Yeah.
That is our new best friend that we are going to meet this week. And he's fantastic and awesome. And
I love him so much.
So we're still playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and it is a peach and a gem of a video game. This week we are playing Ancient Sanctuary, the Gestral Village, and Esquie's Nest. Next week is Stonewall Cliffs, Forgotten Battlefield, and Monoco Station. So we did slow down a little bit so Storm Rage could keep up because Storm Rage is in his busy time. So this week and then next week as well are a little bit less like intensive weeks, I would say. Stonewall Cliffs is pretty long, and so is Forgotten Battlefield. Monoco Station is on the shorter side of things. So
nice. Yeah, I'm in the middle of Stonewall Cliffs, and I'm loving it. I'm just loving it so much.
Stonewall Cliffs is super long.
I am grateful
really good.
We've lessened it because in Stonewall Cliff, I just got a little mad because I was like, I just need to get through this stupid thing to be able to talk about it. And I was like, that's not the point of this. This is a bad feeling. I should ask if we can do less. So I am very grateful that that was allowed.
Yeah, this is definitely a game where I would say if any of us are feeling like we can't get to it, we definitely just slow down because it is a game that benefits from really like taking it all in, enjoying the game.
Exploring is huge. Is huge in this game.
Yeah, and no mini map, so you explore and you're not sure if you've caught everything, and you are. It's like, okay, do I go left or right? Left or right? I want to make sure I explore, but I don't know which way is the right way to go. Yeah,
I give a note here. I have in the goods. I have a suggestion.
A suggestion? Are we okay?
Or something that keep in mind when you go exploring.
Oh, I can't wait. Speaking of things I can't wait for, we have an objection for March 2nd. So here we go.
Objection! 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 Objection!
That was the long one. That was 19.
Yeah, I got 19 too. Yeah, as well.
So anyway, I have an objection. And it is... Dano, I feel like in many respects that this podcast is a fully collaborative effort. So imagine my shock when Matt and I agreed upon a title for last week's episode, and then I look into my podcast feed, and it is certainly not that title. We specifically talked about it several times, that the episode title last week was going to be Delightfully French. It didn't need to be the only thing in the title, but it was agreed upon that would be in a section of the title by 2 out of the 3 members of this podcast. And having played through this week, if the intent was that it would be included in this week's title, where things get borderline offensively French, I am okay with it. If instead it was because you thought it was a bad title, Dano, I've got terrible news for you. I'm going to keep pitching bad titles until one of them gets stuck.
I think we just have. I think you just gave us the title for this week, honestly.
Bad titles?
No, just borderline offensively French.
Yeah, I just thought the other thing you said was really good, and so I chose that as a title.
I mean, yeah.
And I don't remember there being any discussion. It was just put there.
I think it might have been in Discord, but the show kind of made it kind of the let me try to butt in here as the cis white male I am. The fact that in the Discord we discussed delightfully French would be the title of last week's episode. But the fact that
before the podcast,
correct,
on last Sunday when we were talking about it together.
True. But during the episode, I think the title that we were given at the end of the episode, was presented to us in the episode was better.
That's true. That's fair. So we are at episode 319. Remind me, Stormrage, how many episodes you edited and posted and mastered. Remind me how many.
For me, 441.
And 319 episodes of Squelch. Now I've never told you what a title to use for Blizzlet. I'm pretty sure I've never told you what title to use for Blizzlet.
I would accept if you wanted to use a specific title on an episode of Blizzlet in which you were on. That I would allow.
I had no idea this meant so much to you, and right. I tell you, it's gonna I'm really gonna struggle to fall asleep tonight. This is gonna sit with me, and
good.
Because you're right, this is a collaborative effort, and I really should think more about your title feelings. And
thank you. That's all I've been asking is just let me do all of the titles in this collaborative journey that I get to dictate.
To be fair, I think of the 319 episodes we've done, 250 are titles that Matt has done, at least, if not like 275.
Yeah, I mean, there was a chunk I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's why it's not 319. Are we done berating me for change the title? Cool. I'm gonna just go thank some patrons.
Thanks. I am pretty incredible.
Thanks. Oh, Daniel, that was close.
I was just so excited for this next part where I get to say thank you to my friend Baximus for becoming a patron. Thank you so very much, Baximus. In celebration of your triumphant return, we are releasing this week's episode a day late. So there you go, buddy. Yep, as a $5 patron, you get this. You get this podcast the day it is recorded, and instead of being Sunday this week, it's Monday. So you, sir, are very welcome. And welcome back. Thank you so much, Baxus, for your support. Super duper long time supporter. We're glad you can come back and join us for Expedition 33. This game is so much fun, so I'm glad you're joining us for this. If you want to support our show, you can head over to twitch.tv/DanielPlay and throw us some Bezos bucks, or patreon.com/squelch. $5 and above gets you the podcast the night it's recorded, which is usually a Sunday, but sometimes it's a Monday. Should we get to some lore now? I think we should get to some lore.
Yeah.
This one's a real page-turner.
All right, so we have 3 characters to discuss today. First, we have Gustav. Gustav is the de facto leader, who very much never wanted to be the leader. He froze up on the beach when the expedition was attacked by the white-haired man and was left for dead. He then later woke up alone until Lune found him. He has a magical prosthetic arm, which was made by his apprentices, which sounds pretty amazing until you realize his apprentices are like 11 years old.
Which makes it even more amazing.
It very certainly does make it even more amazing. Because it is a very cool magical prosthetic arm. Next, we have Maëlle. Maëlle is 16 years old, and she volunteered to join the expedition because she didn't feel like Lumiere was her home. Gustav is her guardian and is very much a combination father-brother figure in her life. And then we have Lune, who is the brains of the operation. She loves discovering new things and learning that things they all thought were myths are actually real. And when she runs, she doesn't run, she flies. She literally flies. They don't discuss this, but she flies instead of runs. And I think we should talk about that. Yes, Matt.
I have Lune in the front as the head of my party. Like, you can click the button to pick the top person in front. I have her in front because it looks awesome.
It just looks awesome. So cool.
It does look very cool.
So do I. And you added a fourth person here, Storm Rage.
I added 2 more people. So very quickly, the white-haired man. I only want to highlight him because he seems super important, and he killed much of the expedition immediately upon contact with them, and he's old. This is particularly important because people aren't allowed to be old because of the Paintress. The Paintress causes the gommage, and it turns everyone over a certain age. At the time of our game, it is 33, into rose petals. She also seems to have the ability to create life and has created much of the island that the game takes place on. We're trying to kill her. That's our goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to stop the gommage, which I think is fair. Because,
yes,
eventually it gets down to 1. I mean, that's that.
Yeah.
I mean, 0, really.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to like 1 or 2, and it's just like, at that point.
Babies.
Yeah, I don't think
it's
really.
There's a time where people can't reproduce within the age range that they're given, so there just won't be any more people.
Yeah, which I think we're kind of like probably
getting close to.
Yeah. So the gommage is a fascinating way to add tension to this game. Very clever, very fun. Love it a lot.
For those who come after.
For those who come after, we tell our story and the recap. I have the Ancient Sanctuary, but I did stomp on Dano, who was about to say something. Dano, did you want to go?
No, I was going to say what you said, and then now I'm taking a note to delete that, which is going to make this part really fun. So maybe I don't delete that now, and I just keep all of this in, or I can delete all of this. It's a fun surprise. Who knows what's going to happen?
Maximus will.
And if you want to know bits that we may or may not commit to, you could join us on patreon.com/squelch.
They're the ones who know.
Yep. We begin our journey in the Ancient Sanctuary. We are trying to head towards the Paintress, but we were informed in our last episode that we cannot get there because there is another sea in between where we are currently at and where the Paintress is at, and we have no boat. So supposedly we are looking for a way to cross this kind of second sea in order to get to the Paintress. The way we're going to do that is we're going to look for the Gestral village. We enter the Ancient Sanctuary on the assumption, because we have been told, that the Gestral village is somewhere around here, but that it is difficult to find. We look around and find a few enemies, including a weird little guy that tries to run away, but won't run away successfully from us because we chase him quite a bit and eventually take him down. We run into a young boy, in heavy air quotes, because that is his title, but he certainly seems neither young nor a boy. He seems more like a statue that is missing most of his face. The young boy speaks cryptically about how he knows us, or he's seen us before, or that he's familiar with the expedition. It seems like he is not even fully aware of what he is saying in this moment in time either. Yes, Dano.
So something that I discovered later in this game with these missing face people, because you do run into more of these, as I figured you thought. If you change who your character is talking to them, that will sometimes change what they say.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yes. Because I had one I ran into and it says, I have nothing to say to you. And I was like, then why are you here? And I changed and then I got a bunch of stuff. I was like, oh, that was fun. So that's just a little fun little hint for anybody that runs into other of these beings.
Okay.
Very interesting. Very
Alrighty.
interesting.
We continue on the path, and we find a massive figure, a hulking figure. The best explanation that I can have is like those puppets. like a puppets from James and the Giant Peach, which is such a specific call that I'm realizing because it's usually specifically like from the stage play. So I don't know if that's very helpful to many people if there are puppets in the animated show, but they're massive, they're weird, and they are like puppeted figures that we soon find out. And it's called a sakapatate, and I know that I said that wrong. Daniel, you want to give that another shot?
Sakapatat.
Sakapatat. Guy, thank you so much.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Sack of potatoes, indeed.
So it's now officially called a sack of potatoes and is piloted by a Gestral. Apparently, the Gestrals build these massive things so they can fight and survive on the island. The pilot of this Gestral is named Keratom. Most of the area is just wandering around through a maze. There's a mime that I finally found and I was able to kill. Yay for killing mimes. And a bunch of bad things in order to fight, but there's not a ton of story as you're moving through here. You can find the journal for Expedition 63 that apparently used a giant Ferris wheel type structure as a method of transportation to get to the island, and they thought that this would deal with some of the dangers of the island. Unfortunately, it was not successful, and Daniel has thoughts on that.
So when we first enter this zone, Gustav and Lune are talking and they see the giant Ferris wheel, and Lune goes, so apparently they used to ride those things and they would be stationary and they would just go in a circle and you would go up there with someone important with you. And then Gustav is like, excuse me, actually, that is from Expedition 63, and they use that to traverse the island. And I love so much that he mansplained her when she was right.
Yeah.
I also like, well, technically both were right.
Yes, they
right?
were.
And one of my favorite things is that Lune also kind of references of like, so I wonder what they did up there all together, and hinting at like some sort of romantic or flirting tension between the two of them. And Gustav is just like, no, it was a military asset. Here's exactly where it came from. It was Expedition 63. This is exactly what it did.
And I want to be clear that I understand that mansplaining is always when someone is right, and then you mansplain the thing that you think is right. So I want to be clear that I'm not saying that like mansplaining, that men are always correctly correcting people. I felt like I wanted to get above that there because I
Thank you for mansplaining.
didn't hate what I said. I
appreciate that a
hated
lot.
very much that I said when she was
I mean,
right. I was like, oh gosh, that's awful. That's awful.
We make our way through until we find the ultimate Sakapatatos, and even after being told that we are friends, they don't care, and instead they say we must fight, so we do. But eventually, after we defeat that ultimate Sakapatatos, then we are allowed to leave the ancient sanctuary and enter into the Gestral village.
It's my turn. It's the Gestral Village. This is, I mean, maybe the best thing that's ever happened to video games. Like, maybe we just shut it all down because video games officially peaked with the Gestral Village. Like
100%.
They created the Gestral Village and we're like, well, that's enough for video games. We can't do better than this. This is the end. Congratulations, everybody. Video games were fun while they lasted, but why make more games? Because nothing is better than the Gestral Village. So, is one Gestral cute? Yes. Is an entire village of Gestrals even cuter? Yes. Even though they never stop growing and grow to the size of like a 5 or 6 story building. Yes, Gestrals are awesome. The first Gestral we meet is a little guy. He tells us he is 7.6 hours old. Apparently, Gestrals never die. They just like get old and then they die and then they reincarnate. So it's good to be a Gestral, I guess. So that's kind of amazing. The kid also tells us that we need to train. He also needs to train, he says, but we need to train as well because the Gestrals are like, what if like gym bros didn't kind of suck and were instead super adorable mannequins with paintbrushes for hair? The Gestral Village, I see Stormrage nodding, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm. The Gestral Village is, of course, full of Gestrals, and the Gestrals are fighting. That's what Gestrals do. And they're selling stuff because that's what Gestrals do. There is also a Gestral building a casino, but he is sad because Gestrals don't gamble, but he is excited about building it anyway.
I was so excited that there was a casino, and I was so disappointed that there was absolutely no gambling in the casino.
But you can just buy stuff outright, which is just a better kind of casino.
Yes. Well, go ahead.
I have no idea what casino it is that you're talking about. I do not remember encountering this at all.
I mean, the whole city's in like a loop. It's just basically like a circle. So like
Yes.
if you go far enough, you will find it.
I went in one full circle, and I thought I talked to everybody, and I apparently did not.
Yeah. But in the casino, if you talk to the guy who runs the casino and you answer his question the correct way, he gives you an amazing picto that I love and have upgraded and put on everybody, where it has a 50% shot of doing either 50% damage or 200% damage. It's amazing. It's such a good picto.
That seems sometimes really bad, though.
But probably,
but you only notice it when
better.
it hits.
So
yeah, you only notice it when it hits. Really, it's great.
Yeah, I could see that mathing out good.
Yeah,
but I know that me and myself and I would notice every single time that I did a big attack and I got 50% instead of 100 or 200, and I'd be mad. So mathematically, it's good. For my emotional health, I'd worry.
You do have to build around that, though, right? Like, you don't want to use, like, with Mael's, like, so, not Mael, sorry, Lune has a couple different big attacks, right? One of them is if you have 4 stains, it just is a single massive attack, right? In that,
it's 4 separate attacks, but yeah.
With that one, it's bad. But if you use the one that's like 7 to 9 attack, that's super good, right? So you don't want to use the one massive attacks. You want to use the ones that are hitting multiple times, and then it probably averages. Then you get the average out for better. But if you're using one massive attack, it could be a miss.
I want one big number go big.
That's exactly what it is. Like, I literally, I think I hit for like 4,000 at one point. Like, just when it triggered, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. This is good. So 60% of the time, it works every time.
Perfect.
So the first thing we need to do is find the chief's house. This ends up being super easy because as soon as we enter the village, there is a giant sign that says Chief House. Victory is ours. The chief's house is sort of insane. As you walk in, you see 2 rows of gestrals that appear to be bowing. Well, they aren't bowing. They are actually doing push-ups. Yes, Storm Rage.
I don't believe it is the chief's house. I believe it is the chef's house.
It is the chef's house.
So they call her the chef, but if you go and look, it does say chief house. It says chief house, but they call her chef. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, great. I just remember them calling her chef so many times, and I went, well, of course, because who is the highest figure in any French game? It's gotta be the chef.
And they do put chef in quotations so that you know it's not a typo and that this is a joke, which I very much appreciate. So, like I said, the gestrals are doing push-ups because it's like, what if gym bros were cute talking mannequins with paintbrushes for hair? Their chief, or chef, as they say, is named Golgra, and she congratulates us for defeating words are hard. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Their chief, again, bad. This is bad. Okay.
One more time. We got on the third take.
This is 4th now, officially. Their chief, or chef, as they say, is named Golgra, and she congratulates us for defeating their ultimate sack-a-patat. Golgra tells us that we aren't the first expedition to come this way and ask for help getting to the paintress. In fact, it happens like every few years, and she has just sort of stopped keeping track. That's depressing.
Fair.
We tell her that we can't cross the sea because a white-haired man destroyed our boat, and she is even more impressed that we didn't die when the white-haired man attacked us. Most of us have died, but not all of us. Yes, Stormrage.
She also mentions that the white-haired man came and attacked the village a while ago and basically killed everybody in the village except for a handful who were able to repopulate. So whoever this person is, seemingly just kills everything they come into contact with.
Yeah, just like not a great guy. Just,
Yeah.
She goes on to tell us that if we don't have a boat, our best bet is Esquie. What's an Esquie, you ask? That is a great question. Apparently, it's a thing that it can get us across the sea, but only if we ask nicely. We'll find out later. Unfortunately, the way to Esquie is guarded and we need a password. Unfortunately, she tells us the password. It is, and I hope you have a pen and paper ready, the password is psych. She won't tell us unless we enter their legendary tournament and win. Okie dokie, let's go win a legendary tournament. This is a one-on-one tournament, which I absolutely love, by the way. I always think it's so dumb when you enter a tournament in an RPG and it's like, okay, it's your party of 4 versus this one guy. No, this is way better. So it's a one-on-one tournament, so we have to choose which party member fights in each round. After winning 3 rounds against Gestrals, we have to fight the Stranger. That Stranger with a capital S, so we know this person is going to be tough. Okay, pick your most powerful warrior, and 3, 2, 1, fight! Holy moly, it's a human! Holy guacamole, it's not just any human, it's our friend and fellow expeditioner, CL. Cue the happy yet sad music, because CL is so happy to see us alive, but sad because we're the only ones there. She thought she was the only one left. Now time for a happy reunion scene, except the announcer is mad that we're not fighting. CL tells us that they are expecting a show and that we should fight and give them a show. Cue a fun little fight with CL. Whoever the winner is gets a special weapon from the Gestrals. Thanks, Gestrals. Quick question. Who did you guys have fight here?
Sorry,
Matt?
I had Mael fight.
I think I did as well. Mael is just so good at doing a ton of damage on her own. I think the others do a lot of damage when in combination with others, but Mael
she's good.
She can combo with her own abilities really effectively and just pumps out a bunch of damage.
Virtuoso stance is nuts.
Yeah, it is.
I also used Mael, and thank goodness, because the weapon you get from this fight is bananas, because you start in Virtuoso stance.
Yeah.
So you go right into that, into the ability that does like insane, like it does 9,999 for me every time I use it.
Pierce. Yeah.
Pierce, thank you. Yeah. So then you go right that into defense mode, and then from defense, that when you're in defense mode, you go into the one that does 5 fire. It's a banana like rotation that you can do with her when you're starting in Virtuoso mode. It's just crazy. Yeah, I did have another weapon that starts in defense mode, and that one's also pretty good because you just start with the fire that way. So instead of doing one big bit of burst, you add the fire. So they're both actually pretty good. She's just an amazing character. She's the best. Like, I don't even think it's close necessarily. Like, she's bananas.
Like, it's like Mael and the other two in the party.
I don't agree with that. I actually think Lune has some insane damage
Lune
output.
Is nuts.
And I think that CL is really like. I think the 3 ladies absolutely, and Gustav is a support character by and large.
Yeah. Well, like as it was Hat called the group the Spice Girls. I think in the just the Spice Girls comp run through most of the game.
Yeah. Lune and Mael for me, and then I choose another character or the other character. And so, so where am I at here? Oh, so we are champions. Time to go get the password from Golgra. I hope you really do have your pen and paper ready, because this password is going to be tough to remember. The password is, and I quote, "Get out of my way!" And you have to scream it. She's very clear about that. You have to scream it as loud as you possibly can. You have to scream, "Get out of my way," which, okay, fine. We get a quick tutorial here on how to use CL. CL uses an ability called Foretell to fight. Some of her abilities will add Foretell to an enemy, and other abilities will consume that Foretell to do a bunch of damage or other things, but typically just damage. Each of these abilities is either a sun ability or a moon ability. Sun abilities add sun charges to CL, and moon abilities add moon charges. If you get a mix of them, you go to Twilight and you do 50% extra damage, which is super sweet. It gets even more complicated than that, but I'm not going to explain that because this is a silly podcast and not a game guide. So now that we have reunited, it is time to leave the village and find this Esquie person / thing to help us cross the sea. Unless you want to duel Golgra, which I did, and she killed me in one hit. Oh well, moving on.
Yep. Same.
I also tried, and she destroyed me in one hit as well, and I went, okay, I'll come back to this.
It's on my to-do list. I have a to-do list, as you can see here, as even little
good
boxes
Lord.
to check on my to-do list.
All right. So we're heading to Esquie's nest next. But once we leave the village, we're straight into camp. Everyone's happy they're back together. CL says if nobody came for her, she would probably just fought in the arena until her gromage came up. Which, fair. Maëlle is off to the side. Gustav tells her that it would probably be safer for her if she's in the village. Maëlle says, nah, I'm too strong. The party would really stink without me. Which is true. You go to after doing your camp things, you go rest, and there's a cutscene between Gustav CL. They're excited to meet Esquie. And then suddenly Maëlle hears something and it goes straight to black and white. And time basically stops. A woman with white hair and a mask, like a Phantom of the Opera mask almost, covering most of her face. With white hair. About the same height as Maëlle, which is strange. They stare at each other and the woman in mask reaches out in her hand to touch Maëlle. Suddenly the white-haired man appears and tells Alicia, who he calls, that he should have stayed home and it's not good for her to see this. Alicia gestures toward Maëlle and says and the white-haired man says it's Maëlle's fault. Maëlle asks what they're talking about and what is her fault. The white-haired man says they should have never have come. It's only going to get worse. You should go back home to Lumiere and live out the rest of your days. Maëlle draws her sword and the world returns to color. Go ahead, Storm Rage.
One very small note that at least stood out to me in this scene was the white-haired man saying, "This is take them and go home. This is your only warning. Give them a year of happiness, for there is nothing they can do." Yeah. And in my brain, I was like, "Oh, what a good villain being able to give them an opportunity to leave that they're clearly not going to take." But wow, I love that. It's very fun writing.
So all of a sudden, we're back in normal time. Everyone notices Maëlle's having basically just a straight up panic attack and is just straight up concerned. Maëlle tells them she saw the white-haired man and tells them everything that he said. We go back to the world map and make our way to Esquie's nest. Dan, did you have anything?
No, I was just playing.
Okay. No. All right. So then we enter the Esquie's nest zone and we give the guard standing in front the password, and he says, "Well, I don't actually remember what the actual password is, but you humans are really rude for yelling it at me." So it was fun.
I did love here that after the guard walks away and from being sad about being yelled at, Gustav is like, "Wait, no, that's the password I was told to," and he just feels super awful that he was mean to this Gestral. It was so funny.
It's so because Gustav feels so bad, and the other two characters make fun of him so much for it. And Maëlle's even like, "Look, he's the Gestral. He's gonna forget it in 5 seconds anyway. You don't need to feel bad." And then Luna and CL are like, "Hey, I can't believe you were so mean to that Gestral." And Gustav is just sitting there heartbroken over it and trying to apologize. It's such a good moment as this Gestral is just so sad that someone screamed at him to get out of his way.
It was very good.
It's a very funny scene. All right, so we go in. We kind of wander in this cave area. It's basically caves with lamps everywhere. It's strange. And then we we go up to the ramp, to the pond, and all of a sudden, this bag that kind of resembles Oogie Boogie from the Nightmare Before Christmas kind of flies in and lands in the pond, and then has a mask on his face, like some sort of strange mask, and has the one most wonderful voice.
Yeah, he's like, what if Oogie Boogie wasn't a Halloween character, but was French?
Yes. Very much so. But like, it has like this. He's very friendly. He speaks in riddles occasionally. He knows that Sael is afraid of the water. That's weird. Kind of weird. He feels like he knows her. She knows him. Maybe there's
It's
something
very strange. Like Sael is thrown off by how weird this interaction is.
Yeah.
Everybody else it's fine, and she is shaken.
Yeah. He tells us in order to go across the sea, he needs one of his stones. Fortunately, his arch enemy Francois has it. But lucky for us, he lives next door.
I love this moment so much because he's like, my mortal enemy, Francois. You must get it from him. And Gustav says, let me guess. It's across the continent, surrounded by monsters, and you need us to get it. And he goes, no, he's right next door. And it's such a funny bit because most of the party is simply done with Esquie and they have to abide by it. And I love Esquie so much.
What's so fun about Esquie and Francois is they can very much hear each other. It's like, what if your mortal enemy was like next door, but like there were no doors? So he just is like, he'll just like speak loudly to Francois, and it's so good.
They're basically roommates in this cave, and they hate each other. It's beautiful.
I think it's one way. I think Esquie likes Francois.
Oh yeah, 100%. So we go across the cave. We go to Francois' nest and encounter what looks like a rock. But if you say, "Hey, this guy looks like a rock," he gets really offended because he says he's a turtle. It's great. So then you get into a fight with him. You grab the flore, and this is the stone that Esquie was asking about. You head back to Esquie, fight a mime, fight a couple other things as you explore the cave. There's a mime. Yeah, I found the
Did
mime.
I miss a mime in there?
It's Ciel's mime. Ciel's mime outfit is in there.
Shoot.
Well, looks like I'm heading back to Esquie's nest here soon.
It's like
I try to look very carefully too.
Yeah, there's also one of those things that you have to kill in like 3 turns. But yeah.
Oh, I'll talk about those later. Yeah.
Yep. I did not, unfortunately. So you head back to Esquie. He says, "This isn't the stone we needed. This is just a normal stone." And he throws it right into the pond. It's great. And it's like, the stone we need is in the Stone Wave Cliffs. So like, follow me, and he runs his way out, knocks over a pillar, and makes it a ramp for us to go out of. Along the way, we find a journal for, I think, Expedition 66 on the way out, and then
one of my favorite journals.
Is that the one where
contents of it?
This is the one where the guy's like really upset, isn't it? Like, this is like,
he's mad at Esquie because he asked for food and Esquie found food, but it was poisoned, and Esquie doesn't know because Esquie is essentially immortal, so he doesn't know poison from regular food, so it killed the entire expedition.
And he like curses Esquie with his final breath. It's like, stupid Esquie.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out that Esquie says, "Hey, this isn't Flory," and then Francois from the other end of the cave goes, "I know, I never had it, you fool. It's in the Stone Wave Cliffs still." Oh, Francois.
all right. So you make your way up that way and head out to the map, and now you can actually. There's areas with like stones on the ground that you can run through and break now, and it opens up the map a little bit. Basically, we're riding Esquie.
It's
at this point.
and I love this, and this should have been a good, or it should have been what I'm liking, but I forgot. Esquie is essentially what ships used to be in early Final Fantasy games. So first you could just ride around in the ship, then you could fly the ship to the moon, then you could take the ship to the underworld. That's exactly what Esquie is. He's an old school Final Fantasy ship. So like right now he can just get through the rocks, and then later he'll be able to swim across the sea. And then I think later he'll fly. I think because there's islands that are flying in the sky. I imagine we get up there somehow. So
I think he mentioned. I think at one point he mentioned there's 5 of these rocks you have to find to fully upgrade him. So
nice.
I'm assuming we'll.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm assuming we'll get there.
I also found a place where you can like dive underwater, but it's like Esquie can't do that yet. And I'm like, it feels it. This game is so much like what if Final Fantasy kept on iterating on what works instead of like chasing whatever like the fad was that year and then coming out with a game 10 years later. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Hello, old friend. Let's meet for tea after the match, shall we?
Slurp.
I remembered this time. Hey, Matt, what'd you do?
I found a couple mines, murdered them, and now I have a matching at Red Beret for Luna and CL. So like they're in my Red Beret club. They're great. They're fun. Found the sack of potatoes outfit for Gustav, and I love it. It makes me laugh every time I see it. It's like every cutscene he's in, he's wearing this stupid outfit, and it's just great. Oh, also I found some hair for Mael. That's like the hair. It's the what are they called?
The Gestral?
Matt is putting his hands to the air to signal that he just don't care.
Yeah.
And alas, Dano
basic
and
Gestral hair. Gestral hair. There we go.
Great.
It looks like a Gestral hair. It's beautiful. I love it. It's perfect. Yeah, that's about all I really did.
How about you, Storm Rage?
I tried to mainline a lot of the quests to try to get through as much as I possibly could before show today. So I found one mime and I was able to kill it. And it took me a long try, like several attempts before I got there. But I think that's kind of what this game is figuring out the timing of those quick time events. And then eventually you get it down and you're like, great, I got it. Which has been the case for whenever I encountered a new enemy, I just go, I'm gonna die a bunch and then I'm gonna figure it out and then I'll be fine. But those moments of dying are exhausting sometimes. And I'm currently running Sael, Mael, and Lune as my main party comp. Sael, I just do a bunch of damage with, I go Fortel, I consume it, I go Super Saiyan mode, I deal a bunch of damage. She's basically all agility and might, but she's a little bit more evenly balanced than my other characters. I also have some defense and a little bit of luck in there as well. Mael starts in now the Virtuoso mode, and I use a lot of fire in combination with her and Lune, so basically it's a burn everything down comp, and she is mostly defend and agility, so she's kind of my tank. And then Lune, I'm very, very close on unlocking a pretty good build for her. She has mostly fire, and but unfortunately I have nothing to spend fire stains on yet, so I'm waiting until I unlock the next heal, which can consume 3 fire stains in order to provide an AoE heal over time for your party, and she is nothing but agility and might 100% of the way.
So I still have no idea what to do with my builds. So I was super confused as to why some of my characters had like a ton of hit points. So like one of them would have 800 hit points and the other one would have 3,000 hit points. And I was like very confused as to what was going on here. So I messaged Torby, and Torby was like, hey, check your Pictos, you stupid idiot. And I did that and realized that they have passive stat bonuses as well as giving other things, and that's where all that vigor was coming from. So some of them had vigor Pictos equipped it, and some of them had, luck, so they would have bonuses to other things. So basically, I wasn't paying attention to the Pictos close enough. So there are 5 stat bonuses, and I'm really only putting stuff into agility and luck. Agility adds to speed, so you attack more often. It also adds to defense every once in a while, and it adds to your attack as well. So like every couple points of attack you put in, or agility you put in, you get a bonus point to attack, you get a bonus point to defense, and you get, with agility, you get speed. So I don't know why I would put anything anywhere else, because agility does everything that I want in a stat. So instead of spending something on defense and then instead of putting something on might, I could just spend it on agility, because there's a ton of agility weapons. And so the agility weapons will stack with the agility stat, and then I'll also get defense and speed and attack with it. So it seems like just do agility.
A couple of things I want to highlight here. One, don't do that. like there are characters and there are times where agility is absolutely the correct call. And so if your weapon is agility, I think agility is a very important stat. And there are many weapons in the game that do use agility, but agility is like a broad and non-specific stat. So it does help a little bit with defense. It does help your speed, and that's the only thing that helps with speed. But putting things into defense will greatly increase your defense. Putting things into might will greatly increase your might, whereas agility does a little bit of those. And so it is more about specialization, because it is more worthwhile if you just want attack power to put those stats into might than it is agility. If you are looking for just defense, it is better to put that into defense than it is agility. If you're looking for a balance of everything, agility is a great way to go.
So like agility is speed and it's turn based and you have a turn order. So if my agility is twice as much as my opponent's agility, I get to attack twice and they get to attack once.
That is true. So like that can happen. So like, yeah, obviously in that case, it is quite good. But if you're capping yourself by reducing the amount of damage you do by a certain amount, then you might be using more resources to deal that much damage than on a single attack. So I'm not saying that you're wrong that agility is very good. It is, but I don't think that it's the only stat that matters. Is my argument here?
Yeah. It's just but there are no might weapons, so you can't buff other things with might.
There are might weapons. I think Gustav has a might weapon, doesn't he?
I thought that might was a stat that didn't have a weapon attached to it because that would be busted, because then it would scale upon itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So might is just pure attack power, and this I could be very, very wrong, and there might be weapons that scale with might, but might increases your attack power more than any other stat will, even if there's a weapon associated with it. So it's just like consistent. I think it is not a good end game stat because you'll probably want to scale with your weapons in the end game, but leveling up when you're swapping between weapons all the time, might's great.
Yeah. So like, as long as I'm using an agility weapon and I am putting stuff into agility, I'm doing might anyways, and then I'm also getting speed and defense along with it. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I was putting stuff into luck as well because Lune and CL both have abilities that like do extra things if you crit. But then, like Torby said, I'm an idiot. And if you look at your Pictos, like you can just get a ton of crit with your Pictos. And so putting stuff into luck doesn't make a ton of sense that way either if you're looking for just crit. And so I'm not just putting stuff into agility, but I'm like mostly putting stuff into agility. And I kind of think that I'm not saying you're wrong, Storm Rage, but it just feels like if I'm getting speed and I'm attacking more often, or if for defense purposes, like you also are not getting attacked as often, right? Because they don't get double up attacks on you, which if you're slower than them, they can double up attacks on you, and that can really stink. It seems like speed is kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know what's right. I don't like stats as a thing essentially because it feels so arbitrary, and there's definitely a correct way to do it. There's a 100% objectively correct way to do it, and I don't know what it is, and I find that very frustrating. I'm gonna talk about the not so good too.
I have a feeling that matters more towards the end of the game, and when you're trying to do boss rush type thing, where you're trying to optimize your build. I think for the story mode of the game, I don't think it matters.
I'm sure it doesn't, but it does. It just like the internal min maxer of me, just like it just bugs me. It just bugs me, and I'm not gonna look anything up. But anyways,
But there are plenty of rerolls available, and you can buy them on most.
So many rerolls, so many rerolls, and I haven't even used one yet because, like, even though I have some stuff in vigor, and I'm like, I know that vigor is wasted, I haven't bothered switching it out yet because it hasn't affected me at all. And some of the weapons do have like scaling from vigor, so I'm like, oh, that's fine. I have 10 points in vigor, that's not going to hurt me. Or I have 15 points in might, and I'm like, that'd probably be. I'd like that maybe more in agility, but it's also doing well for me in might, so. It does feel quite like very forgiving in that you can just kind of build as you want to build and you're fine. So I just don't know for sure what's right. And I say Torby called me dumb, but Torby was actually really nice and helpful and didn't even call me dumb once, even though I was definitely being pretty dumb because I sent him a screenshot. I'm like, why is this character's health literally almost 3,000 and this character's literally like 600? What am I doing? Is like, probably your Pictos. And I went and I looked, and it was definitely I wasn't looking at them for those stat bonuses. I was looking for their abilities. And so
Stats are huge. Stats are so huge of the Pictos.
I didn't even like really kind of clock it because I was so worried about getting the passive effects and unlocking them. So I'm almost always switching my Pictos out after I get 4, because after you use a Picto in 4 different fights, then it unlocks, and then you can equip the passive ability to characters. And so I was more focused on that and kind of forgetting about the other side of them. So that I just needed to look at both. It's like a coin where like the heads will do both the passive ability and give you the regular, like the stat bonuses. And then the tails will give you just the passive abilities. And so I needed to pay attention to both of them. And that's something I wasn't doing.
Yep.
There was something else I wanted to step. It's gone. Doesn't matter. So I haven't found any more mimes. That's making me sad. I did rescue a Gestral from a high place, and their parent gave me a Sack of Patat costume for Lune, and that was awesome. I did find the Burjan skin that I couldn't find last week that I thought I had missed, but I didn't miss it. It was just I had to kill a different one, and then I got its skin and returned it to the White Neveron. That made me feel good. And then I found another one of them and killed that, and it also gave me a skin. And I was like, oh, there's just like skins all over the place now. I found 2 missing Gestrals. Apparently they go missing from time to time, and there is now a cook at my camp who was collecting missing Gestrals, but he's not collecting them to cook them, just like to be a nice guy. He's collecting them to be a nice guy, which I can appreciate. I caught and killed Patank, which are those Neverons that run really fast and you have to trap them. So I did kill one of those. You have to kill them within 3 turns, and each one of these has a gimmick that you have to kind of like overcome to kill it within the 3 turns. And this one added a bunch of shields, but lucky for me, I unlocked the ability for Mael where she just gobbles up the shields and then adds them as AP. And so that fight was super easy.
that ability is insane, especially in the cliffs. In the cliffs, it's so good. But like, it's
what is that? I want this ability. That seems good.
It's in her skill tree. You need to unlock it because it is.
Is it left or right side?
Right side, I believe.
Yeah.
Dang it. I've gone exclusively left side so far.
Yeah, it's on her more defense and break side as opposed to her fire side.
And I've gone full fire. Oh no.
It honestly, it's really good, and then like you unlock more multi-hit abilities, and so it quickly kind of becomes less good, but still very good because AP is so powerful.
I don't know, like when because when I do a basic attack now, it applies some sort of status effect that reduces their defense.
Powerless, not powerless.
Powerless,
defenseless, I think, or something like that.
Something like defenseless. Yeah. But like if you use that ability while they're defenseless, she gets another attack round that round, and it's so good. It is so good.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. What's really fun about this game is it lets you do a whole bunch of really cool things however you want to do them. So like there's like a whole bunch of different ways to do rotations, and whatever like you find is cool and feels broken, and then someone else tells you something that they're doing that's fun and cool and broken. You're like, oh, that's really cool and fun and broken. And it really is very thoughtfully put together. Like there's a whole bunch of ways to kind of build the characters, and it seems really fun and really, really great. I went back to the Abyss cave. That's like that very first cave, that danger zone right to the left of the very first zone. And I killed the chromatic Abyss inside, and I felt like a video game superhero. I then found a Gestral beach, and it was an obstacle course. It was so much fun. Finishing the obstacle course gave me a swimming suit for Gustav and a swimming suit for Lune, and it was super duper fun, and I hope there are more of these.
Where is this cave?
So it's kind of like to the northwest of the original zones. It's actually just a beach. Okay. So it's called Gestral Beach. And
I must find it. I must do this obstacle course.
It was all platforming, and it was so much fun. Do you want a hint on how to go through it, or do you want to figure it out on your own?
Absolutely. I want a hint.
So you know how when you're jumping on things and you can grab on, or you can jump on and just land?
Yeah.
Jumping so you grab guarantees you to get there and stay on. Whereas if you jump and land, you slide off the sides more often. So you want to like jump so you can grab and pull yourself up and then walk or run to the next platform. And that was what worked well for me in the end. But it was
great.
Really, really fun. And the bathing suits are an absolute trip. They're like old timey. They're so much fun. They're so good. I also found a hidden Gestral arena called Hidden Gestral Arena, where I had to fight 4 rather difficult Gestrals. It was the same Gestrals from before, but you get to fight them again, only they were much more difficult. I don't remember what I got, but I think they were weapons. It was super duper fun. I also went to an optional zone called Yellow Harvest and killed another chromatic, which was super duper hard because I was definitely underleveled for that area. And I found a mime, but it was one-shotting me with every hit. So I would have had to like have a perfect run with a mime, which I wasn't going to be able to do. And so it's on my to-do list of things to go back to. And then I found some scenery zones. Have you guys found the scenery zones yet?
No.
Oh, they're so great. So it's literally you just walk in, and instead of like following the character, it just stays panned way out. And it's just like a really cool, it's just this gorgeous like scene, and you can run around in the scene, and there'll be a thing to pick up there. So everyone I found, there's been a record there that you can play back at camp. So I have a whole bunch of records now to play at camp, and they're just super gorgeous zones. They're really, really cool and artistic and fun and original. They're just fantastic. So I ran around once I had Esquie. I just ran around and tried to find every single thing that I could find.
Taste my grilled cheese.
Munch, munch, munch.
What's our first good, Matt?
How much the game just rewards you for exploring areas. Just going around, finding like every little nook and cranny, little paths where to go, like little jumping puzzles to go around certain areas. And I think it was Torby who said it in the Discord that like the lanterns, it was either Torby or Steven Sensei who said the lanterns are the main path, like the main path. So if you follow the lanterns, that's the direction you're supposed to go for the main story. But if you're not following a lantern, you're off of the side area. And
Is
now
that
that I figured
true?
that out, yes.
Oh, that sounds.
So you
great.
follow the lanterns. It shows you where to go. But if you don't follow the lanterns, you go off to the side areas and explore. It's beautiful.
It was Steven Sensei, by the way.
Steven Sensei,
that
I
gave
thought
that particular tip.
Yeah. So it's just great. And now that I know that, it opens up the exploration and makes me so much more happier. What's the not so good, Dano?
I talked about this ad nauseum, and Stormrage was like, stop being a baby about it. And I was like, nope, I'm going to be a baby about it. I think stats are dumb. I don't like putting stats in video games because there's an objectively correct way to do it. And you never know what the correct way is unless you like math everything out and then look at guides. And I find that frustrating. And like, I would either like make it clear on like different paths to take for stats to make it make more sense. I don't know. I just don't like them. It's a me issue. I get it. I'm sorry. What's our best good Storm Rage?
Esquie is my bestest friend that has ever existed. Esquie was written for me, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Simply the way that he says, Francois, my mortal enemy. I love him so much, and I think Hat came in with this fun fact is that Esquie has the same voice actor in both French and English dubs, and he is the same actor that did the motion cap for Gustave.
Oh, that's fun.
That is fun.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
3, that's a magic number.
I will ask myself 3 questions.
Hey there, Matt. What are you liking so far?
The Gestrals have no reason to be so delightful and wonderful, but they are. And they're just delightful and wonderful and fun, and I love them. I need more Gestrals. More Gestrals, please. Storm Rage, what are you liking so far?
The way that humor is incorporated into Dispatch is fascinating to me because it is such a serious and somber tone for the vast majority of the story. Like the concept that at hand is important, right? We're trying to stop essentially the entire extermination of the human race. And there are a lot of moments that are very intense, very serious. There's a lot of danger around every corner. But the way that it incorporates humor never feels unearned or feels like it's trying to take a break from that story. It's just exploring a different aspect of this world. And I just think that the humor works so well in conjunction with the serious story rather than trying to rip it apart in certain ways. And I just enjoy the way that it's presented a lot.
Yeah, it also makes the characters extremely fun and relatable and lovable in such a great way.
Dano, what about you?
Yeah, great minds think alike. So the game does a super duper good job of using humor to cut the tension of what is a pretty sad story. And it doesn't, and I kind of feel like the Marvel movies sort of ruined humor to cut tension a little bit because every time there was a little bit of tension, they were like, oh, time to make a quippy quip. And it's like, yeah, but like not every time. Quippy quip quip, shawarma, quip, shawarma. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it there. One time it was funny that you did shawarma. And so it's, yeah, good job. Thanks. But like this is just good writing, right? Like if everything is always sad or everything is always scary, then like you don't kind of feel the feels without like being able to cut the tension. And that's what humor is so good at. And this game does a great job of cutting that tension with humor and like just making the characters feel realistic. Like Matt said, they really do. They have emotions and those emotions go up and down in very realistic ways. Extremely well written, extremely well written. Matt, what are you struggling with?
Before playing Expedition 33 this week, this combat is so stressful. I don't feel like dodging and parrying and dealing with combat in this game while playing it, while forcing myself to play it. Get wrecked, you mime. You suck. Let me. I really messed this one up. Let me fail this one on purpose and go and restart combat. Much later while playing the game. Wow, I should have stopped playing about 2 hours ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Star Mage. What are you struggling with?
I can't talk to anybody about this game. And every time I go into the Squelch Discord, it's just spoiler text, spoiler text, spoiler text. And it's a nightmare because I don't know if I've gotten far enough to read that spoiler text or not. So I just can't look at the Discord anymore because I just get too anxious about it. So I have no idea what people are saying about it. I hope people are enjoying the game. I can't read that channel anymore. It gives me too much anxiety that I'm going to click on something and be like, well, that's spoiled now. Guess I don't get to discover that.
Yeah.
Daniel, what about you?
The same thing, but different tone. So instead of like the Discord, which is also a thing, Hat had a great idea of just creating threads for each act. And then, so there's an act 1 thread, an act 2 thread, and there'll be an act 3 thread later. And then I did ask people to put like a little bit of context for the spoiler, like which zone are you talking about or something like that. So like it can make it a little bit easier, but yeah, I'm the same exact way. I actually have not gone into the act 2 thread, even though I'm halfway done with act 2. Also, I'm not searching the internet for anything to make sure I'm like not missing anything, which is something I always do. I never have a problem going to the internet and be like, oh, how do you do this? Or go in there and I go, what's the best build for that? You know, because I'm not a proud person. I know I don't see everything or know everything, but I don't want to be spoiled for anything. And so I'm not going to the internet. All I do is go to the E33 wiki page just to know what's coming up next so I know what to say we should play next in the game. That's the only thing I've done. And it's so hard because I love looking stuff up, but I know if I do, stuff will be ruined. So not doing it. It's very fun, by the way. It's actually a whole new way to play a game that I haven't played in a long time. So, Matt, what has surprised you about the game?
How satisfying things are when they kind of work together and synergize. Like Lune can apply the fire buff so that Mael can get into the Virtuoso stance right away and then do a ton of damage in the following round. Or Mael can break shields so that like Sael's Twilight attacks are ready to go so I can do the 3-hit AoE Twilight attack and do all the damage. Yeah, all the damage, especially when that roulette wheel hits. And oh boy, yeah, it's just completely satisfying. Just the combat and the way the party works together, and just how you can just stumble into something great. It's great. Storm Rage, what surprised you?
I'm a little surprised at how much I like Gustav as a main character. And I know I'm not writing him in my party comp, but I think they've done such a good job of writing him as a character that is deeply flawed, but very interesting. Like in the prologue, I was worried that I wasn't really going to like him because he cared, but he was also kind of like emotionally like kind of a sad emo boy to a point that I was like, come on, you gotta care a little bit more about things. And then when we get to the island and after his panic attack, it becomes very clear what he cares about. And it is Mayal and her safety and her security and the security of the future and the expeditions past and honoring them and defeating the Paintress. And there are just so many small moments where everybody looks to Gustav for guidance and where he will either step up to the challenge or like the small moment of him being the one that shouts, "Get out of the way," and then being really, really sad about the reaction from that Gestral is awesome. And I did not expect to like him as much as I do, but I enjoy Gustav a lot. I think he is a very fun character. Dano, what about you?
I am very surprised at how distinct each character feels in combat. They each have very clear and separate mechanics that make sense for them as a character, and they are complicated as well. And but in a really fun and interesting way where it's kind of more like, it's not just like extremely complicated and then you get it and then it's easy, but you kind of like slowly unpackage it. And as you kind of learn and the ins and outs more and more, you kind of see the how different things work as you try different things and different like ways to kind of like weave. And it's all about weaving the different like abilities in with each other. So it's not just about doing the one big ability, though sometimes you just use Pierce and you kill the character, the bad guy. But it's more about weaving them in with the correct like ways, like the lead up with the different like stances and charges and that kind of stuff. It's very cool and very interesting, and they don't at all feel alike. They all feel very distinct and separate, which is super duper cool. And even like sometimes I even miss the combat hits because I'm just enjoying watching the different hits. Like they're so much fun to watch. I'm like, oops, sorry, forgot. Sorry, CL.
It doesn't actually do that much I don't know if it does that much difference when you miss a combat QTE. I'm not sure.
It does.
Yeah.
Like a huge amount, probably not, but certainly some. Like that, because it'll give you a range in a lot of the abilities or in some of the abilities of how much damage, or at the very least how much healing that it'll do. And so if you miss it entirely, it's the low end. If you hit it perfectly, then it's the high end.
Gotcha.
And if you do miss it, it's a multi-hit, you will actually miss the ability to hit it later as well. So if you miss the first one, then you miss the second one as well. And then hitting perfect versus just hitting it also does have an increase in damage versus. So yeah, there is definitely differences. But if you miss it, the world typically does not end. As proof, we are still here in the world. So that's good news. Yeah, Matt.
Was it Final Fantasy VIII where you had to pull the trigger on the gun blade at a certain amount of time?
That would have been Final Fantasy VIII. That was a really awful combat system.
It was the worst, but somehow it really works in this game. It really, really works in this game.
It helps when you don't have to go grind out in places to collect the different like magics that you need to use. So you have to grind, then you spend, then you grind. That was all awful.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
Not good. Not good, Final Fantasy VIII. There's a Final Fantasy game I did not play much of. Good soundtrack, though. I love the soundtrack.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Storm Rage. Sell the game to a friend.
Francois, my arch rival and mortal enemy, said you shouldn't play this game, but you should prove him wrong.
Matt.
No, you've been playing the soundtrack all week.
It's true. I have. And for me, Perry, yes. Perry, yes. Perry, fail. That's it for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. Next week, we're going to eat a baguette, wear a beret, and become mimes in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Thanks to all our patrons for patronizing us. If you want, you can find links to our Discord and contact info in the link tree in the description of this episode.
Clair Obscur is a game, and games are meant to entrer amusant.
Yeah! And don't forget, when one falls, we continue, baby.
This is the end of the show. Everybody bye!
Now the real question is, how would Esquie end this show?
How would Esquie end the show?
Yeah.
What ends but continues, as long as the sun is high.
There we go.
I love
Esquie.
Esquie.
I cannot decide. I don't know if I've got enough into how much I love Esquie. Also, we talked about this a little bit during the objection phrase, but I don't think we hit it enough. This game, if it were not made by French developers, I would think it is borderline offensive to French people. There's so much nonsensical Frenchness in this game. All of the skins, unbelievably French. The mimes, incredibly French. Like, why are these mimes this level of French? I love it, and it's insane. And it is such a good encapsulation of why I am glad that we are getting other studios from other regions creating games, because I am so used to either JRPGs or US RPGs that are based in, like, the US cultural zeitgeist, the US artistic taste, or the Japanese artistic tastes, and being able to get them from new locations is awesome, because we get to experience things that I by and large wouldn't. I can't imagine another game that has this level of mimery and this level of costumes and this style of costumes and the language choices that they have. Like, the amount of times that they're just like, merde. And it's like, great, I know exactly what that is. Dano, I don't know if you're going to blur that or not. And
hey, they use it on Star Trek. It's good. Great.
Fantastic. And there's just so much that's beautiful about this game, and it's every now and then I'm in the moment. I'm like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great. And then it'll be a joke, and I'll be like, oh, this is very French. I forget how French this is.
What's fun about all this is one of the great video game studios of, like, my younger years, and you're probably too young to realize it, was Ubisoft, which is French, and then they became what they are today, which is just the most garbagest of garbage studios, who put out an NFT collectible card game recently, and was like, this is a great thing in 2026.
Well, they also did Clair Obscur.
You know, the devs that were no longer work for Ubisoft did Clair Obscur, yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So it is, I'm very glad that this is one of those successes when they leave and go to start their own studio, because it's not always been a success when they leave and go start, like the Apex Legends guys who left and did High Guard, and then that blew up in their face. And so I'm glad this is a big success. So, because this game is absolutely amazing. So should we end the podcast and get ready for work tomorrow?
All right.
We have to.
All right. Thanks very much. And we'll talk at you again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Au revoir.